Hey guys, Richard Older here, and welcome to the channel. Here's the question for today. What happens if you max your turbo out? You know, if it can flow, no mow, what happens to the boost? What happens to the power? I don't know. Let's find out. In this video, we're going to take a look at what happens when you max out the flow rate of one of these cheap eBay GT45 turbos. We have a fairly healthy modified 5.3 liter that we installed the GT45 turbo on, and then we started turning up the boost. And as we saw, we were turning the boost up higher and higher, but it wasn't going up higher and higher. Well, it was at the beginning, but not at the end. Lots of cool data to talk about. Let's check it out. To illustrate what happens when you top out or max out your turbo, I'm going to show you an example where we ran a turbo that was sized to make a given amount of power on a combination, and we basically got to almost the maximum flow limit of the turbo. And I'll show you what happens to everything when you do that, because a lot of guys think that a turbo, you just keep turning the boost up, right, and it keeps making more power. Well, no, turbos are sized for a given power output, and they'll continue to make boosts as long as they can support that airflow. But as we'll see here, they will not support it indefinitely. So we started out this test with a modified 5.3 liter, and this one had a lot of good parts on it. It was actually supplied by the guys at Strictly Performance, and this was a boost ready 5.3. We did a lot of testing on it before I eventually made a mistake and blew it up. But before that, we ran a lot of testing with it, and it was cool. It was basically a stock bottom endish kind of thing, and so it had Gen 4 rods and a stock crank and a stock block, and it had hard anodized but stock cast pistons. I think that these were flat tops, like a 4/8 piston. They topped it with a set of K-Tech mildly ported 706 heads. It had BTR dual springs on it. For this test, we ran a Summit Stage 4 cam, and that was a 605 lift, and it had a lot of duration, so it really helped this thing make power. It was a 234, 247 degree duration split, and 113 degree LSA plus 3.5. We also topped it with probably the best intake manifold in this range on the 5.3. It was a fast LSXR with a 102 millimeter throttle body. We had 1 7/8 long tube headers, 89-pound injectors. We ran it on E85, although on E85 the NA motor didn't really make any more power than it did on 91 octane, because we were able to run all of the timing on the 91, and it still made this kind of power. But run in this manner, our naturally aspirated modified 5.3 produced 501.5 horsepower, and peak torque checked in at 432 foot-pounds. But you can see even down here, closer to 46 or 4,700 RPM, it was still making 426 foot-pounds. So we kind of have a nice little torque plateau. To put this into perspective, here's what happened. Here's what it looked like compared to a stock 5.3. And so basically that combination was up everywhere compared to a stock 5.3. This is a typical one that we would get from the junkyard. So it was more like 345 or 350 horsepower or so, and 375 to 380 foot-pounds of torque. So this one was a lot better. But now let's take a look and see what happened when we added boost. So now we've got our naturally aspirated motor. Let's take a look and see what happened when we put one of our low buck eBay GT45 turbos on there. This one came from the guys at DYNO. We've used this turbo a lot. And this is why we tell you it's, like a 750 horsepower turbo or so. We actually made more than that on this combination, and I'm going to show you why. So we added our single turbo kit, and this is the power that we got. We're right at 600 horsepower, just over 600 horsepower. This was at the horsepower peak, it was at 5.3 pounds, and we were just getting started here. I just want to show you, we'll go up in successive boost levels, but it's important. We're going to take a look at the end at what happened as we went up with each boost level, and what happened to the boost, and what happened to the power, and how it changed, and how it started indicating that we were running out of flow basically with this turbo. So our turbo kit consisted of 2 stock exhaust manifolds, trucks facing forward, a custom Y pipe, 2 waste gates, Turbo Smart waste gates. They had 7-pound springs in them. We had an air-to-water intercooler. The GT45, as I said, we had a 3.5-inch exhaust going out of the GT45. And they were run with 7-pound springs with, and in this case, no boost controller, no manual boost controller. So here's what happened when we put the manual boost controller on and then put a couple turns in it to raise the boost. So we went from 5.3 pounds to 6.4 pounds at the power peak, And then our the power output jumped to 666 horsepower. Torque was up to 623 foot-pounds from 558 foot-pounds. Here's what happened when we went up to 8.1 pounds. Again, as we go up in boost, we're getting more and more power, obviously. At 8.1 pounds, we're at 719 horsepower, 694 foot-pounds. And here's what happened when we ran 10.6 pounds. Just under 800 horsepower, 793 horsepower, and 795 foot-pounds of torque. And you can see we're going up and up in boost, and everything seems like it's working okay. But I'm going to show you, we're going to take a little closer look at all of the data that will indicate why we're running out of flow from this turbo. But first, let's take a look at the boost curves. Now that we've taken a look at the power output, it looked like, hey, the turbo was doing just fine. It made almost 800 horsepower, which is a lot for that little DYNO GT45. But let's take a look at the boost curves associated with this test. We had a really good naturally aspirated combination making over 500 horsepower. It was a 5.3, so it was sized pretty well for the DYNO. So this is our first run at 5.3 pounds, and while this looks like a big change in boost, the scale here is the thing that you're looking at. I mean, the scale here is only half a pound difference, and that's exactly what we saw. I mean, the highest boost that we saw during the run was 5.8 pounds, and the lowest boost that we saw out at the end was 5.3 pounds. So this will look more like a straight line when we put it into perspective and show some of the other boost curves. So here's what happened when we stepped up to the 6.4 pounds, 6.3 pounds, and see, so now the 5.31 is looking a little bit flatter. But again, we see a similar thing where we're seeing lots of, or more boost in the lower part of the curve, and then the boost starts falling off. Now, some of this, and I know guys are going to point this out, and I want you guys to make a comment on it, some of this is the fact that we're using a manual wastegate controller, or in the first test, no wastegate controller at all, and just relying on the two wastegates that we ran, two of the TurboSmart 45 millimeter hypergates, and just running reference lines to the bottom of them. I'm going to do a video on wastegates and show you why that doesn't work as well as other ways to hook the wastegate up and use an electronic controller. And I'll go through a whole wastegate deal. But right now, part of the problem is that we have back pressure in this system trying to open the wastegates. And as the back pressure gets higher, it opens the wastegate, and we see this kind of falling curve. And that's also something that can show curves like this. But in this case, and that's what's happening early on, but as we get higher in boost, I'll show you why that this is actually a function of the turbo being too small for the application that we're running on. But here's what happened when we ran. We stepped even further to 8.1 pounds. But as you can see, again, we're having more boost at the top, a peak of 9.8, and then out here in the end, we're looking at 8.1 pounds, kind of out where the horsepower peak is. So we're still going up in boost, even at the power peak, but we're going up a lot more in the torque peak area and at the beginning of the curve. And that's a pretty telltale sign that we're starting to run out of flow from the turbo. And here's our last run at 10.6 pounds. Big change there, because we saw a big jump in the boost on the lower part. We're up at as high as just 14.1 pounds, and then it drops all the way down to 10.1 or so, 10.3 or 10.4 pounds. So you're looking at a drop of almost 4 pounds there. And the reason for that is because the turbo will support the airflow that it needs at that boost level at the lower engine speeds. But it won't do that. It won't support that boost level out at the top because it doesn't have the flow capable of doing that. And again, I mentioned the wastegate problem is part of this, but as we see here, and we're going to go over the data in detail, you'll understand why this is actually a flow problem and not really a wastegate problem. We know because we know how much this little GT45 is capable of, and we're at the limit basically. But it's interesting to see the changes in the boost curves. And now if you look at the 5-pound curve, it looks fairly flat. And we see a big change at the upper boost levels where we're able to support it at the beginning, but not at the end. So let's get to the data. So here's all the data from the testing broken down. We can see we have in the first column boost levels, and obviously on the NA one, there's no boost level, but we went up to 5.3 pounds, 6.4 pounds, 8.1 pounds, and 10.6 pounds over in this column here. And what I'm doing is showing you the peak horsepower numbers because we're going to be able to talk about all this stuff. So the NA motor made 501 horsepower at 5.3 pounds. It made 602. 6.4 made 666, 8.1, 719, at 10.6, finally 793 horsepower. All very good power numbers, obviously, with the boost. And then peak torque numbers are next, 426, 558, at 5.3, 623, 694, and 795. And here's the important part, and this is something that tells us that we're starting to run out of turbo. This is a very good indication because we know that I've told you before many times in these videos that if you take a look at the peak horsepower and peak torque number, if the peak horsepower number is greater than the peak torque number, that's how you know it's a fairly impressive combination. If the peak horsepower and peak torque are the same, it's a fairly mild combination. If the peak torque is higher than the peak horsepower, then you know it's a very mild combination and more like a stock one. To give you an example, a tuned-port small block Chevrolet makes about 100 foot-pounds more than it makes horsepower. That's a very mild combination, kind of an extreme example, but same thing for the 5-liter Mustangs and stuff. But if it makes more torque than horsepower, very mild. If it makes the same horsepower and torque, still kind of mild, but working fairly well. And if it makes more horsepower than torque, now you're starting to get up into the performance arena. And in this case, on our NA motor, it made 75 more numbers on the horsepower than it did torque. So we know that that's a healthy performance kind of motor because it made 500 horsepower and 426 foot-pounds. But as we see, when we start adding boost, that number, the difference between the peak horsepower and the peak torque, starts going down. And the reason for that, as we'll see, because we'll talk about where these things made peak boost at. So at 5.3 pounds, there was only 44 more horsepower than torque. Still good. And at 6.4, there was 43. So the difference between those two was very, very minor because the turbo is still able to support the given boost level and the power level that we're at. But as we started going up in boost, when we went to 8.1 pounds, we only had 25 more horsepower than torque. 25 more peak horsepower numbers than peak torque numbers. So again, as that number starts going down, we start getting milder and milder effectively. And then when we went up to 10.6 pounds, this combination actually made more torque than it made horsepower. Now the turbo can no longer support the amount of boost that we're asking it to do at the horsepower peak. So it has a bunch at the torque peak and down low, a bunch of boost, but it cannot support that boost level out at the top because it's falling away. The airflow potential of the turbo is going away. And we see that here. So if we take a look at the next two columns, we have maximum PSI and minimum PSI, and we'll see that during the run, we had not a perfectly flat boost curve, which you could get closer to with an electronic boost controller. But even with that, if the turbo cannot support the airflow that you're asking it to, it's not going to be able to have a flat boost curve. As you start to run out of turbo, what you'll see always is you'll see a falling boost curve. A lot of factories program that in, but when you run out of turbo, that's what will happen. It will be able to have a big boost number down low, but it can't support that same boost level and the flow necessary to support that boost level at a higher RPM where the horsepower peak is. So if we see on the 5.3 liter, we had a peak boost number of 5.8 pounds, and then the minimum boost number was 5.3. So that's fairly flat. That's only a difference, as we see in the final column, of a half a pound of boost. That's not really a big difference. As we step things up, it starts to change. So we start to see a bigger difference. So at 6.4 pounds, we see a difference from the highest boost level was 7.4 pounds and the lowest boost level was 6.3. So now instead of a half pound difference like we saw in the 5.3 pounds of boost run, we now have a difference of 1.1 pounds. So we have much more boost, or starting to have more boost at the beginning and less at the end. And this only gets worse and worse as we go up in boost. So at the next boost level of 8.1 pounds, we see 9.8 pounds maximum boost during that run and a low boost point of 8.1 pounds. So now we have a difference of 1.7 pounds during that run, and we're starting to see a trend here. We're going up in boost at the beginning and down in boost at the end. And again, at the final run, we're seeing a big difference of 3.6 pounds. Because down low, it's able to support 14 pounds because all we're doing is turning the boost up manually. We're seeing a peak boost of 14 pounds, but out at the top, it can only support 10.4 pounds on this combination because we have a healthy NA combination, and we're basically just running out of turbo. Let's get to our conclusion. Okay, guys, what's the takeaway in our little adventure with the 5.3 and our small, inexpensive GT45 turbo? Can you continue to turn the turbo up, and make more and more power? The answer obviously is no. There's a limit to how much flow any turbo sizing can ultimately support, and our GT45 seemed to be near 800 horsepower. Now, we might have been able to eke a little bit more out of there. This was a really good combination, a really powerful combination. We don't have any compressor maps for this turbo, but obviously it was responding fairly well at this displacement and this power output. But ultimately, this is not a 1,000 horsepower turbo. We cannot continue to turn it up and get more and more power because the flow limit of the turbo was reached or very near that. Now, no matter how much we turn it up, it's not going to get to 1,000 horsepower. If you want to make 1,000 horsepower, you have to go get a 1,000 horsepower turbo. We might be able to do a little bit more with this turbo if we go to a smaller displacement motor. That way we can manage the back pressure. But ultimately, the flow rate of the wheel and the compressor housing are going to dictate how much power this turbo can make. So you can't just keep turning it up. Armature holder, make sure to like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, do all that stuff. More and more testing coming up.